phone and computer on mute until you're called upon. We have a relatively short meeting tonight. Just wait to have the chair and myself recognize you before you speak. That way we have clear minutes. So with that, Andy, I will turn it over to you. I was just telling Tom and Alan, you have 2 local upgrades tonight. You do have Kathleen Alexander on, but we do not have 106 Millville on your agenda for tonight. So I don't know if you want to address her first.
Good evening, everyone. Kathleen, what is your issue this evening?
Just wanted to see if
I don't know if you can hear me. Something's wrong.
I just wanted to see if there was any update on 106 Millville.
Nothing as far as the Board of Health is concerned. Our issues were done a long time ago. Everything that's been handled was taken care of by conservation and the lawyers and you guys. So this is out of our purview. Thank you very much for all your time and your patience.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Good night. Good evening, Tom. Good evening, Alan.
Hello. Hello.
First on the agenda is 1 Myrtle Street. Is Tom Ryder with us, Missy?
He is not.
So the local upgrade for 1 Myrtle Street is the distance to groundwater. People want to sell the house and they had a system designed. They went with a Presby system, which allows for a reduction in the minimal distance between groundwater and the field so that they would not have a mounded system and the house would be more desirable to sell. See, would you please read Tom Ryder's recommendation?
Absolutely. So the memo from Tom from this morning, it says the applicant is requesting a local upgrade approval for the proposed system repair for the above referenced property. Title V requires that soil testing and percolation testing be conducted in the proposed soil absorption system area. The soil sieve analysis is allowed for repairs as a local upgrade approval as long as at least one deep hole has been conducted in the area. The sieve analysis confirms loamy sand conditions in the soil absorption area. The engineer has designed the system in accordance with the DEP policies. As this is a repair and the site's limitation creates constraints to upgrade to Title V's new construction standards, I am recommending the approval of the Title V local upgrades with a deed notice per the IA technology approval letter that is utilized an alternative system. Andy?
Missy, is that considered a deed restriction?
No, I actually was having this conversation with Tom Ryder tonight. It is not a deed restriction, it's a deed notification. And actually, Tom is working on coming up with a, sorry about that, a formal letter or notice that we would give to the applicant or to the applicant's engineer.
Okay, who files that? The applicant?
Yeah, or their engineer. Yep, it wouldn't be us.
And where is it filed?
Registry of Deeds.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this to send it off to you guys so you can read it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any concerns with this?
No, I understand too that there was no abutter notifications required for this property, so it sounds like it's well in hand. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Alan?
No, I'm on board also with Tom Ryder's recommendations.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please? Alan, since you were the last, would you make a motion, please?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the local upgrade distance to groundwater using a Presby system, per Tom Ryder, town engineer's recommendations.
Thank you.
And I'll second the motion.
Good, gentlemen. Second on the agenda was 9 Main Street. We're going to pass over that one because Seth LaJoy, the design engineer, Tom Ryder had some concerns about that particular system, and Seth LaJoy, the design engineer, did not get back to him today, so we're going to pass over that one. I would like to review the animal inspector position ad. Missy, you sent us all the information by email as to what the perimeter expectations for this job description are. Tom, did you have an opportunity to read that?
I'm looking at it as we speak.
Alan, did you have an opportunity to read it?
I did not.
Okay. Need to get this, if I'm not mistaken, Max is all done already, isn't he, Missy?
He told me he's leaving November 17th, and he will mail me all of his records to the office. The ad that I sent to you guys, I put a December 1st date. I just threw that out there, however long, however you guys want to have it. I did talk to Danielle today. She would be interested in doing the quarantines temporarily for us, and she doesn't really have a lot of experience, but she'd be willing to help out. So I've actually sent an email over to Connor to find out, is that a conflict or anything with her also being part of that 8-town consortium type of thing. So I'll be working on that. So maybe we'll have someone at least temporarily to do any
Cool.
quarantines. So I'm working on that.
Very good. Alan, I've got a question for you. Whereas with winter approaching and work slowing down as far as a landscaper's job, would you be interested in doing the barn books? I don't know if we can separate them. Right.
I would have no problem helping out, provided, as Missy mentioned, there's no conflict. I mean, based on what I've seen in my conversations with Max, I feel my, exposure to horses in general could, get us covered for that. So that wouldn't be an issue. But Max has already done my barn, and I believe his intention was to get the barn book complete before he moved.
Thank you. Well, I was thinking, from here on out, taking it over. I don't know how Missy could answer this question. If in fact we had Danielle doing quarantines and you doing barn inspections, and we separate the stipends so that each gets half, Missy, I don't know if that would work, or would this be a temporary thing until we could find somebody permanent, or what? Just a thought.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something to think about, but I would say it's probably only for a temporary basis.
Okay. The only conflict I would see, Alan, would be is if you were to do the barn where you board your horses. Other than that, I wouldn't think it would be a conflict, but I'm not a lawyer. Don't even play one on TV.
Yeah, no, as always, I would be more than willing, especially this time of year, to help out in any way necessary so that the community is covered. And, fortunately, I do have some people I could reach out to, Larry Pearson included, if I was in over my head. So I'm more than willing to jump in and help.
Okay. And those are done every 6 months, correct, Alan?
Once a year, the bond book.
Okay, so if Max just done them, and we've got some time, some breathing room. Hopefully, we'll fill that gap before too long.
Yeah, if he managed to complete it, then the bond book per se would be all set for a period of 1 year.
Okay. All right, we would like to get this advertised ASAP, because if he's gone on the 17th, we don't want to be vulnerable without coverage. So, if you're okay, when you are okay with both of you with the information that Missy sent, and we could advertise in Milford News and the Town Crier sooner than later, would be good. I'm okay with what she sent us.
I'm going to assume it's very similar to what we put out before.
Yes. It was, Missy, did you, similar to what Northbridge put out?
Yep.
Yeah, and we were very fortunate. We got a couple of very good candidates before Max decided he was going to be able to stay.
Yes. Okay. Let's start with you, Alan, since you're still off mute. Private well regulations, do you have anything to add as far as that for this evening?
Not at this time. I kind of skipped that and was brainstorming on the next issue.
Okay, I have a question for you on that also. Before we move on, Tom, do you have anything to add or updates on the private well regulations?
Nope, not at this point.
Thank you. Currently, Missy and I were discussing, as we all agreed, we would like to get these regulations in place for the first of the year. Tom Ryder has been working diligently on this, and he's had a lot of information for us. I was hoping Tom would be here, but I'm sure Missy will check with him, and I know she did, to see if he has any updates or changes with what we've discussed so far. And if, in fact, we adopt what he's proposed to us, all the things that he's read to us over the past few weeks, we adopt it, make the regulation changes, and put them in place. If something comes along, Tom or Alan has an idea or a concern, we can certainly discuss it and then have like an addendum, if you will, to our regs at any point in the coming days. So we should try to get this out there for January 1st. And Missy's going to have a conversation with Tom Ryder to hopefully get this going. See, do you have anything else to add on private well regs?
I don't think. Oh, me. Okay. I wasn't sure who you said. Yeah, I reached out to Tom. He doesn't have anything new as of yet. There is something that is kind of coming up, possibly with the state. It's called PFAS. Please don't ask me how to pronounce that word, but it's pre and polyfluoride blah, 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 substance. And basically, a thing is, it's a chemical that's been used since the 50s in manufacturing, and it can stay in the ground for a long period of time. You'll find it in packaging, outdoor clothing, carpets, leather goods, skis, snowboard wax, and more. So I know they've been doing a little bit of studies and stuff. I know Diane Tiernan over in Upton is also asking Danielle and Danielle, to look more into this because they're considering about adding this into their private well regulations. It just seems like it can be very costly if the level comes out and you need to, do whatever it is you need to rectify it. Can be very costly. So that would be my only other thing I'd have Tom look into, along with Danielle and Danny. The D&Ds. D&D is what we call them in the email. So that would be my only other suggestion. Otherwise, you can take what Tom Ryder has already written so far. If you guys need another copy of it, I'll email it to you. And we can move forward and have something for your meetings in December if you wanted. Andy?
I was going to suggest we call the guy Danny and the girl Danielle. Does that help? I don't know if he likes that or doesn't like it or what.
Yeah, I don't know, but I get Danny confused because my sister-in-law's name is Danielle and they call her Danny. So it messes with me.
Okay. Okay, so, this PSA, whatever you called it, that's been around since the 50s, and that has not been included in water test?
No.
I wonder why. It's that important.
I think it's something that it says according to this, they've had it as a standard for public drinking water since October of 2020. But they have not made it part of it as for a private well item.
While we're on water conversation, Tom Fickner, did you hear about the state certified lab that got decertified? The lot of the well drillers locally, not a lot, but a few of them. Did you get that information? Tom?
Oh, sorry, I was on a mute. What was that again, Andy?
Recently, there was a decertification of a Mass State lab, water test lab. Some of the local well drillers that we deal with, they were decertified by the state. Did you get that information yet?
Oh, is that on an email?
Yes.
Missy, you sent that out by email, right?
Yes. I'm just going back real quick. It would have been last Tuesday. I know I sent it to all the well drillers that I do have their information, their emails for.
I see
Yeah,
a decertification of environmental testing and research labs.
That's it.
Okay.
Most recently, the well test that they did was for 44 Hartford Ave, and there was an issue with that well, and a little push and shove, and now all of a sudden they're decertified. So this one, because it was already put in, it's already gone by. But it seems like whenever there's an issue, it seems to be this one particular lab in particular. Often, no, there are other ones too. Alan, did you get that information?
I don't have my iPad up and running in front of me.
Okay.
What was was there a reason that the lab was decertified?
Missy has a letter from the state. Would you please read it to us, Missy?
So there was complaints that had come in from different health departments across the state. So there was an investigation, and just real quick, the result of the ESF investigation and the ruling in the final decision shows that ETR has violated applicable regulations by performing careless and inaccurate reporting of analytical measurements, engaging in unfair, deceptive, and fraudulent practices, performing, reporting, or failing to report drinking water analysis in a manner that threatens public health, making false, inaccurate, incomplete, or misleading statements in laboratory reports. The final decision issued by the Mass DEP commissioner also found that ETR could not even have produced valid data because its results were neither technically sound or legally defensible. ETR is now decertified and will remain so unless it is able to successfully appeal such decertification to Massachusetts Superior Court.
This is not the first time they were decertified either.
No, this is the second time
Wow.
that I know of it.
Those are pretty stiff charges. I'm surprised they're still in business.
Hopefully they have something else to do for business, because testing water samples is not going to be in their purview anymore.
Well, it just means
No.
that so the decertification means they're no longer certified by the state, but does it mean that they're actually out of business and can't perform testing for people if people call?
No, they could still have, they could probably still have people call. It's just whether or not, like towns would accept those results. I know in our private well regulations, we want something from a Massachusetts certified lab. It might be hard if they're trying to prove something that it's not, it's just a black mark on their record. If someone wants to use them for a case of, something in their well water, but no, it doesn't mean that people can't use them. It's just they're not certified to.
What was the, I was just kind of perusing to see if I could see it. Missy, do you know the date that they actually decertified them?
I believe it was November, no, hold on.
I wonder if they were decertified before 44 Hartford Ave was done.
I'm going to say, hold on. Well, the email came out to us November 1st, but it came out October 29th is when it was sent
Okay.
out by the state.
Well, the reason I ask is it's kind of funny, just going through my contact list, I happened to be in the office, it was probably, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago maybe, probably before the 29th, and I saw a flyer up on the counter for ETR.
Oh,
So
really?
I called, yeah, I don't know, and I didn't know why it was there, if it was there for a particular reason, it was up, we put stuff like when you want us to sign permits or whatever.
Oh, okay. Oh, those were well results that were drying out because Dave Darling had left them in the Dropbox and they were absolutely soaked.
Right, yeah, and I noticed something up there that was some sort of I thought it was some sort of a flyer or something for ETR. Or maybe I just happened to notice, ETR was the folks that did that testing.
They were the folks that did that testing. Yep.
Yeah. So I called them just for the heck of it, just to, touch base. I was thinking about doing well tests and I just wanted to have a conversation. And based on the conversation I had with the person at the time, you'd never know that they were, having an issue with anybody.
Yeah, of course.
I don't
Yeah.
imagine that's something they're gonna say, hey, oh, by the way, we're in trouble.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I
Okay.
did send it off to Dave, this information off to Dave Darling, because I do get a lot. I did send it off to Ace Wells. They've been doing Applewood, and I sent it off to Richardson. Richardson and Wells came back and said that they don't use that lab anyways.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
All right, it wasn't, while we were on water, I figured that was just some conversation that we should have. Dumpster regulations, Alan, I hear that you had a conversation with the man on Inman Hill Road and it sounded promising. Could you fill us in, please?
Yes, Mr. Pisano stopped at my horse barn to let me know that he was reducing the size of his dumpster that was going to be on the property. He was reducing the size again. He's gone from what I understand, a 30 to a 15, and he's going to go down to like a 2-yarder. He's also made the business decision to put dumpsters on his job sites. So, there'll be very little construction debris being put into this 2-yarder. However, he is going to do a kitchen renovation on his own property, and he will be having a 15-yarder up by the road temporarily while he's doing this kitchen renovation, and then it will be removed. But he has he's trying to get along with his neighbors, and so he's changing his business practices to hopefully keep everybody happy.
Oh, very good. Did he say when he might be doing that renovation?
I'm going to say I get the impression that November, December.
Coming up soon. Okay.
Yeah, there was a vacation in there somewhere, so I don't know if he was starting it before or after, but he wanted, you know, the Board of Health to know in case there were any phone calls, we could answer them.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for your time on that.
No,
Tom,
he stopped to see me, so.
as far as the dumpster regulations, do you have anything at this time to consider in addition to the subjects that we had discussed, as far as some kind of regulating the use of dumpsters in the town of Mendon? Alan?
I'm sorry, AJ. I'm actually trying to put together some sort of an outline or bullet points that I can share with the rest of the board and Missy, based on some of the topics that we talked about, so that we sort of have a roadmap, and then we can, you know, just kind of maybe comment on each of the bullet points, so that we can, you know, get something in hand that we can all look at, and I will have it ready for our next meeting.
Awesome, thank you. Missy has spoken with Daniel and has asked him to work on this also. So at this time, or sometime soon, as things progress, hopefully sooner, maybe if you two swapped contact information and you could, come up with ideas together. That works for you.
Yeah, I'd be more than willing to do that. And in fact, when I get this to Missy, she's welcome to share it with Daniel or anyone else that might be appropriate. So that, like I said, I'm just trying to put something together so that we could visually look at it and expand upon each of the bullet points. Thank you.
All right, good info, thank you. And thank you for your time. Tom Fickner, do you have anything else to add on this subject?
No, not this time. Just hopefully we'll see something soon. I am in favor, of course. I think we all are. Putting something on the books formally for dumpster regulations. I'm sure we can do it in such a way that's going to be, not necessarily restrictive in nature, but just simply a set of guidelines by which, from a reasonable perspective, people can operate with them and, at the same time kind of be fair and, respectful of, their neighbors and the neighborhoods and how they use them, that sort of thing. Thank you.
A little bit of control, if you will, on a subject that has gotten out of hand in some situations. Like you said, to protect their neighbors, be good neighbors. Missy, you spoke with Daniel about this. How about Danielle? Did you have any conversations with her about this?
I actually talked to Danielle about it a little bit today when she was in doing inspections in the town. She's willing to help, but Daniel would be the one really that would help. He has more experience with writing regulations and things like that, but she would definitely be willing to help in whatever way she can with the board. But yeah, that'll be a big thing that Daniel can do for us.
Awesome. The more the merrier. Let's get this right first time. It'd be great.
Exactly. And I told him we weren't afraid to steal ideas from other towns. We'll plagiarize whatever we can.
Well, you know what they say, imitation is a form of flattery,
That's
There you
right.
go.
right? So,
Highest form of flattery.
yes.
What was I gonna say? I forget. Okay. So, did you also, when you had either of those conversations with Danielle or Daniel, did you also communicate the concern, the interest to get these regulations done by January 1st, which is very close now?
Yes, I did express that to Daniel.
Thank you. Very good. They were both going to try to make the meeting this evening, but they're working with Northbridge tonight and don't know if they're gonna make it, right, Missy?
Yeah, actually, Danielle did send me a text. She apologizes, but she said, "Yeah, we're still in the meeting. She doesn't think she'll be able. They will be able to make it." I told her no worries, and I told her earlier in the day not to worry about it. Spare of the moment. We would just have them come in to your next meeting. That was all, and she said, "Okay."
Sounds good. Thank you. I think that's it that was listed on the agenda. Tom, do you have anything above and beyond the agenda, concern?
Well, most recently, and I had a conversation with Missy about it yesterday, in the last couple of weeks, I've had a couple of folks talk to me a little bit about the appearance of rats in the town of Mendon. Has anyone, Andy, you or Alan, have had anybody talk about that subject lately in terms of seeing rats now where they hadn't before?
The only thing I heard of was exactly what Missy had told you, that when Max did his inspection at the sanctuary, that although the animals were well taken care of, there was evidence of rats there. That's the only thing that I've heard of. Recently. Alan?
Well, geez, I don't hang around at the sanctuary, so I'm glad you're not talking about me. But I fortunately, I haven't seen any rats myself or heard of anybody complaining about rats in a long time. I did have an experience when I first located my horses on George Street with some occasional rats that I would find, and they'd get into the stall, and my horses would take care of them. And if you don't have your feed containers in metal containers with lids, they'll eat right through like a plastic trash can. So if there's, at the sanctuary, I know they get a lot of produce from grocery stores. And I've actually seen the gentleman making up feed dishes for the animals. And so there's a lot of produce scraps generated by them, because that's where they get a lot of their feed versus, grain. So I could see that being a problem if those food scraps weren't put in proper containers on a regular basis. And they do rely on a lot of volunteers up there. They take very good care of those animals. Some of the dishes, the fruit salads, I would have eaten them. They look so good. But I know I've kind of gone off here, but I no firsthand experience in recent years, and no conversations of any rats at this time. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Good question, Alan. Starting that conversation, you said you don't hang around at the sanctuary, so you couldn't be you. But now you're telling us all the things that you witnessed. Which is it?
Well, okay. So I haven't hung around there recently, but years ago I did buy my hay there. So when I was there picking up my hay, and the gentleman was making up these beautiful fruit salads for the pigs, I did witness firsthand how well those animals eat. I should have clarified the time frame.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Whenever you feed food scraps to a pig, you're supposed to boil it.
Yeah, these weren't kitchen scraps like from a caterer. This was, fresh produce from a grocery store that the grocery store couldn't put on the shelf anymore, and I couldn't tell the difference.
Out of date.
But you peel a banana and you put the banana skin in a container to go out to the trash or the compost pile, if it doesn't get out there fast enough, you're going to attract rats.
Point of interest, did you know that monkeys strip bananas the opposite way that humans do?
I
Yeah.
did know that, and they're a lot smarter than us. They peel much easier if you do it that way.
You don't get the strings.
Yeah, monkey see, maybe I should do.
Tom knew that also, which is so
I
smart.
did. Yeah, but I don't do it, but I knew it.
Okay.
Well, with regard to my, bringing up the subject of rats, it also, additionally, the conversation went toward chickens and chicken coops. With regard to, I guess, in doing some reading, my understanding is that chickens can be quite a draw for rats, not so much for the chickens themselves, but because of the housing and, like you pointed out, Alan, the food and the opportunity there if people are not doing it right. I guess there have been noted occasions where rats will actually attack an actual chicken. I guess it's apparently not their first choice, but it has been known to happen. They're more looking for the food pieces themselves. And I know that it seems like the more folks are having chickens on their property these days than they had in the past. And I just don't know if, in the process of doing, inspections from an animal inspector standpoint, if we have all the guidelines in place or the recommendations in place that we need to, and when looking at things like we had that issue with the 2 families up there on Elm with regard to the chicken coops up there.
Those were rabbits.
Oh, those are rabbits. Sorry, those are all rabbits.
But
Thank
Tom,
you. Okay.
But Tom, you're bringing up a very valid point that I wasn't considering initially. A lot of people will feed their chickens, and chickens, they're man eaters. They can be cannibalistic. But a lot of people will feed they'll take their pumpkins and they'll cut their pumpkin in half and they'll stick it in the pen so that the chickens can pick at it. So that will obviously not just feed the chickens, but will attract other animals that are looking for the pumpkin and the seed, etc. I know some people that have actually put what's left of their lobsters during the summer in their chicken coop, and the chickens will clean it right up. So that's a point that I wasn't considering with all these home chicken coops that probably aren't even inspected because they probably don't pop up on the barn list unless
Right.
Max happens to find them, because they're not the home chicken coop with a half a dozen chickens isn't registered anywhere. It's not on any data sheet. So they wouldn't even pop up.
No, there's no permits, there's no regulations in Mendon, and I know people are concerned because we are a right to farm community, so I don't know how that would all shake out.
Well, I think although we're right to farm, I think, we also have to make sure that it's done correctly and right. So
Absolutely.
the right to farm doesn't give carte blanche to, to somebody just to do whatever they want any way they want. This is kind of like in the same vein that we're talking about dumpster regulations. Same idea. We want to be folks to definitely enjoy the ability to do it, but they do have to kind of be respectful of how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say most people probably aren't even aware of the problem that they could create unless they see the rats.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of it myself until it was brought up, but it also is part of the situation that was brought to my attention where the chickens came in is, I guess, the the person I was talking to has a cat that has recently been coming back home with rats. And I guess there's a neighbor that has chickens. And so the conversation of the concern extended to hopefully that, whether or not the person with the chickens may, if they happen to, come across rats or be aware of rats, could an individual be using any poisons that could then possibly be, ingested by, say, another neighbor's cat if they're out wandering around. I mean, not that you can do too much if you have a cat that, wanders in other people's property. Well, I mean, I don't know how you really can control that, but that was also part of the conversation.
I think the element that we're kind of coming to is if you're overfeeding the chickens, so there's surplus left on the ground or surplus left in the outdoor area of the coop, that's probably when you'd run into this problem. If the chickens are consuming everything that you're putting out, then there's nothing hanging around. So it's not even a point of telling someone that they can't have chickens or this is the only way they can have chickens. It's kind of an education point where, feed the animals what they need, but don't overfeed them to the point where you have scraps available for unwanted wildlife.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Yeah. Well, this is an interesting conversation. It's just, again, the last couple of weeks, I had two separate individuals bring that to my attention.
Is this something you would like me to have Daniel look at as far as maybe not a regulation, but something maybe we could put onto the town's website or maybe into the crier, the taking care of chickens and making sure that, like Alan had said, the containers are not plastic, that they're metal, or, it's just an idea.
No, a great idea. I mean, the educational aspect, I think, is key. It goes a long way. I mean, someone that may just decide to do it, not really knowing what the negatives could be. I would have had, until I had heard about it, wouldn't have even equated rats with chickens myself. But yet again, I'm a city guy. But yeah, I think that'd be a great idea, Misty.
Okay,
No.
I'll pass it on to him.
I'm not a computer guy, but is that something that would be put on our website? Whereas if somebody looked up info, looked up the Board of Health, would there be something that they could click on and get, whether it's read or not, at least it's there, after we put together something about the do's and don'ts and the of raising chickens, and did you know that such and such and such, and is that something that could be done on our website?
Yep,
People to-
that's exactly where I would put it.
Cool. That would
Yeah,
be good.
You can actually create a tab if you wanted to highlight it under something, whether it be information on chicken coops or whatever, and then the sub pages behind it could have all the, like I said, the do's and maybe don'ts and things to watch out for type of thing. Good
Mhm.
information. Yeah.
Missy,
Mm-hmm.
I think this would, be very advantageous for anyone that has animals that are housed outside of the home. So
Okay.
whether it be in a, because even rabbits, I mean, everybody thinks it's fun to feed their rabbits, carrots and lettuce. Well, if there's an abundance of carrots and lettuce and you're feeding your rabbits and they live outdoors in a rabbit hutch, that could also attract, wildlife that you don't want to attract.
Okay. Can add that.
So, it kind of goes for any pets or livestock. I'm not sure the appropriate category. that is
Mhm.
that is housed outside of your home. You know,
Yep.
your guinea pig that you keep in your room or whatever isn't going to have that kind of a problem.
No, but
But
if you have someone like, something like the chickens or the bunnies or even, I mean, I don't know what would, even horses, I mean, whatever you hold
oh yeah,
there.
well, absolutely. I remember being over on 106 Millville Road, and I remember, you know, the rats eating right through the bottom of a plastic trash can to get the grain, especially if it was a sweet grain that had like corn and molasses in it. They would eat through a plastic trash can like it was paper.
Okay. So, yeah,
So it really pertains to
Good. Good,
it
Alan.
really pertains to any animals and or livestock pets that are housed outside of your home.
Okay.
And again, I'm not using the right words. Daniel might be able to categorize it better. That, you know, especially when you come into the fall, into the winter, and it's a little harder for wildlife to locate the natural things that they eat. You could attract anything that you might not want to attract.
Right.
Back to
Okay,
you.
we can work on that.
Couple of things, Alan. Were either of you on the board when we had the issue with 25 Hartford Ave West? That's the address, isn't it, Missy?
It's actually 29.
29, that's right. Were either of it
Was
of
that
you on the board?
Was that the aviary, or what? That's what they were calling it.
Yep.
I think I was fairly new to the board at the time.
I was standing there with, there was a whole bunch of us. There was a bunch of cops. Lenny wasn't there. It was, what was our building inspector? Tommy Hackinson. He was standing there with us with, Sam Mason and I were talking, and there was a couple of other cops there. We were all at the site. It was daylight, broad daylight. The rats were running by our feet like we were standing, and I don't know what. There was 30 to 40 rats running around our feet. It was horrible. It was horrible. I don't know how they ever handled it. But are you aware of the poison called bar bait, Alan?
Yes, I am.
Very, very effective. That stuff works incredible. Do you know what it is, Tom?
No, I do not.
Might be something that you might want to pass on to your friends that we were just talking about. You can get it at an Agway store. I would imagine Tractor Supply has it. It looks like a Twix bar, if you will. It's four little round. It's a hard pack. It's a plastic package, roughly 5 inches square, be an inch and a half wide, and there are four. They're all connected. 4 cylindrical type pieces to it. And when you open the package, break these off, and you break those in half, and you put them at the hole. You have cats or dogs, you want to push them in the hole so that when the rats come and they eat it, they bring it back to the nest. It is incredibly effective. It works extremely well. It's very simple. BAR bait. Bar bait. I want to pass that on.
So B-A-R-B, base, B-A-S-E?
Bait. B-A-I-T.
Bar bait, okay, yeah. Oh, okay, thank you. I'll definitely pass that along.
I figured I'd give the description first before I just said the term because I know where your mind goes.
Thank you.
Crickets.
The next thing I need you guys to do, if you're, Tom, are you all set?
Yes, I am, thank you.
You would need to set your next meeting date. And I believe that will be the one when we would start at 6 o'clock instead of 7. So the next 2 Wednesdays, the 17th and the 24th is when you would typically meet. On Wednesdays is special town meeting and the day before Thanksgiving. I don't know if you want to meet on a Tuesday or just go back to Wednesdays, and your next meeting would be December 1st. Andy?
I possibly may be attending the town meeting. So I think that the Tuesday would work better. I don't know about that, Tom and Alan.
Yeah, I'm fine with,
I'm open.
a Tuesday.
Okay, so
I
the
think
10th, sorry, that would be next
Probably kind
Tuesday.
of- Yeah, I was just thinking we should probably with, just some of the pending things, should probably try to consider another meeting just before December comes around, especially we're looking to try to get things in play by January 1, you know?
So do you want to go for the 23rd? That is a Tuesday, of the week of Thanksgiving.
That works for me.
Works for me.
Okay.
Works.
All righty, so we will do November 23rd at 6 o'clock. Sounds
That's a
good?
Tuesday, correct?
That is a Tuesday. Yep.
Sounds
Very
good.
That sounds good.
The other thing that I need you guys to do is approve some minutes. I don't know if any of you've had a chance to look at any of them.
I'm good
There's
with all of them.
2 sets that Tom can't vote on, and that's December 21st, 2020 and June 2nd, 2021. And then there is 2 that Andy can't vote on. That is February of 2021 and September 25th of 2021. So I don't know how you guys want to handle that.
All right, so why don't I make a motion to accept all of the dates that have been submitted? And then Tom can second the ones that he can cover, and AJ can second the ones that he can cover, and we're done.
You're a freaking genius, Alan.
Well, I don't know about that, but just don't call me a dirty rat.
It works for me. I second all the ones that I can second.
Okay, so I'm going to do that. Alan's making a motion to approve the minutes from December 21st and June 2nd. Andy's going to step down as chairman and second, correct?
Correct.
Now, we have the 2 that Andy wasn't there. Tom, are you okay with those minutes, or did you need more time?
Well, I haven't looked at it, but I'm sure they're fine, so, I'll go along with that.
All right. Did anybody happen to read the January 6th meeting minutes? I know they were lengthy, but that is pretty much almost word for word the conversation you had with Todd from, was it Sharps Containers or whatever? So there's a lot of good information that I just wanted to make sure that you guys, that's in the record in case anybody ever questioned that stuff, so. But if you're bored, go ahead. They're like 3 or 4 pages long.
And
Yeah, that is a long one. I just opened it up.
just to note, we now have recordings that Missy can go back on and go over. It's not just a matter of her notes, so they're very accurate.
Correct, right?
And so that, Alan, did you want to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from January 6th, February 10th, February 24th, and September 15th?
Yes, I'll make a motion to accept the previous dates.
Okay. And then, Tom, you second those?
Yes.
Okay, and then what I'll make sure is I put in, for the ones that Tom wasn't there and Andy wasn't there, I'll make sure that everything goes in the way it's supposed to. So it reflects it
Okay.
correctly as far as votes and non-votes.
See, what's the word from the governor as far as the state, as far as virtual meetings? We still
It's-
good to keep going?
It's allowed until April of 2022, but talking with Ellen, she's not hearing anything that they're going to continue it beyond that. It will probably be it will be a hybrid where you will be required to meet in person, but then you'd have this whole other part where people could chime in remotely. So, but that's up and coming. Nothing's been solidified on that.
Okay. I'm kind of good with the way we're doing it, because as soon as we hang up, I'm not far from my pillow.
I have to say that I feel both ways serve a purpose. I miss seeing and interacting with all of you.
Mhm.
However, if it's a busy work day, it's so much easier for me to come home, dial in, and I can kind of regroup from my work day and attend the meeting at the same time.
Yep.
So I see the advantages to having both opportunities available.
What about you,
Exactly.
Tom?
No, well, I'm a people person, so I'd love for us to get back at some point to being in person. But I
you
will
just-
say that the format
just-
of the remote is very, the way we've been doing it is very nice. It does keep things very orderly.
Yeah.
But I'm also a fan, a little bit of chaos.
You just like looking at all our beautiful faces. That's all.
Absolutely.
Can you tell I'm getting tired? That is all I have for you.
Could I get a
Okay,
motion
I
to-
will, Missy, the only question I have is, could you go back and just quickly give me what that issue was, those initials?
It's PFAS.
PFAS.
Yes.
And it's something that's been around since the 50s, you said, in manufacturing?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Other than that, I will, make sure in plenty of time I have that outline / bullet points into Missy so that she can share it with everybody with ample time before the next meeting for the dumpster regs.
Thank you. Okay, is everybody done?
I'm good.
Have a motion?
Good here.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a
See
good
you
evening, all.
Night.
Missy, I'll see you tomorrow morning to sign that permit.
Permit. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye.